Greetings YouTube, this is Toy Customizer Wake Angel 2001. My last custom commission, Zack the Fox, was kind of simple. As you can see, he's simply a Tails repaint with one of the tails cut off. So I really didn't feel like there was enough to talk about to make a full video, but some people asked why he didn't get one, so here he is at the beginning of this one. I hope you've all had a good look at Zack, and I would like you to move on. Because now I'm going to talk about one of my most epic projects ever! Yes, I've been working on this one for quite a while. It's a Transformers crossover figure that turns into Rouge the Bat, or Rouge Former, as you might call her. Recall a few weeks ago when I did my review of the Maisto Psychon, a kind of third-party Transformer. Here he is lying on my desk. As you can see, I plucked off the windshield head to see if it will work as a chest plate, and it actually does fit there pretty good. I also noticed that this toy is basically in two halves, and by removing a couple of pegs, you can totally remove the shell, which has basically all of the motorcycle parts except for the wheels on it, and be left with the robot arms and legs. This makes the figure unusually easy to customize, since, as you can see, the body is just that. The motorcycle is just the seat and the side panels. So this was extremely easy to dismantle and repaint, and doesn't have any screws. It's much easier than doing a regular Transformer. So here is the cockpit head, windscreen head. It wasn't quite the right shape for my purposes, so that yellow line there marks material that I cut away. I then reshaped the windshield to have a divot. This was for the purpose of recapturing heart shape, which is, as you know, part of Rouge the Bat's motif. And a simple repaint job to make it pink and gray makes it look, like Rouge's chest plate. And that was the first piece of the Maisto Psychon that I transformed. And for a while it remained like that because this project took a lot of thought. I think it might even be a little bit harder than a Death Egg robot. But let's move on to the next part. The Maisto Psychon's legs are simple but effective. They basically have three parts: the foot, the shin, and the thigh, all held together by ball joints. Although in the foot's case, the ball joint is restricted so that it's only a swivel. And once I took it apart so I can get into the painting, it really only just required me to put a heart and a toe and then paint it white, pink, and black. Although I did use some silver paint for the sole of the boot to give it a, because Rouge actually has metallic soles on his shoes because it helps with her kicking. And here are the wing/side panels. Now, when I did the Super Scourge video, I got a lot of comments telling me that Scourge is purple. I know Scourge is purple, and I painted him purple. But I realized too late that my camera doesn't really pick up purple very well. So I just want to assure you that although this kind of looks dull blue on the screen, it's purple. It's freaking purple. I swear, if I see one comment in down there that says that her wings aren't the right color, I will block you. Oh my, I'm sorry about that. I'm just really sensitive about being accused of making obvious mistakes, because, I will make mistakes every now and then, but don't accuse me of making hugely obvious ones like that, like Super Scourge purple. No duh. Anyway, the head. The head was actually a pretty challenging piece because I had to pretty much make it from scratch using clay. I had to select what parts I would make and how I would attach them because I didn't want the clay to break when I transformed it. And I found the easiest way to accomplish this was to make the ears out of craft foam. Because craft foam is flexible and I wouldn't have to worry about accidentally snapping it off if it snagged something during the transformation. That which does not bend. So, yes, I basically carved in some facial features there. You can see she has eyes and her eyelids, And here in the back of the head, you can see that she has those 4 hair points. And then all it really needed was a coat of paint. So let's see what the completed Rouge former looks like. Oh boy, was I really proud of how I managed to pull this off. The windshield now attaches through a simple peg and hole system, the exactitudes of which I will show you later. And she has a pretty good looking robot mode too. There was just a couple of problems. I was really satisfied with the vehicle mode. I mean, a little bit of the eye shows, but you can almost convince yourself that those are speedometers. The problem was that the robot mode didn't quite click with me very well. Well, aside from the fact that the chest piece was jiggly, I fixed that with an extra piece of clay to keep it from moving side to side. It was all about the head. I had made it as big as I could, but it still looked too small. In addition, the Maisto connection piece was very thick and blocky, so it made her look like she had a very overly long and overly thick neck. So, the only solution was to go full-on headmasters with this project. That's right, Rouge needed a bigger head, one that wouldn't necessarily fit into the transformation. But, you know, there actually was this thing with Transformers where you could actually add a second head onto a bigger robot body, and they called them headmasters or something to that degree, and, you know, I figured it was a nice gimmick that I could borrow. So as you can see, the base was a Marvel Heroics ball. These are little balls that contain a tiny Marvel figure inside, and I made some cuts and slots so that I could fit the robot's neck and ears through, because I'm not going to be disconnecting the old head to put the new one on. This is going on as a shell over the head. So basically this thing just needed to be decorated up to look like Rouge's face. You just saw her eyelids and her cheek faceplate thing. And here are her 4 hair points. I was able to give them a more natural curve since this is bigger. The ears are still made of craft foam, except since they're much larger, I added some 3-dimensionality to them with a second layer of foam to make the ridge on top. And with a very nice paint job, she actually looks pretty good. She looks like a Rouge with no mouth and no nose and black eyes, because she is a robot with a faceplate. So let's just slot this head on and see what she looks like. And there she is, my big head Rouge. Yeah, I like how this looks. The proportions are much more accurate to a Sonic figure. If those proportions could only be pulled off with a additional head, but you know, it really does look good. I am insanely proud of this. And it just kind of improves the way the whole figure flows. I mean, the wings look better, the shoulders look better. I mean, this bigger head it just works very well. So yeah, I've pretty much done all the talking I can about this, so just take it in for just a few more seconds. Yes. You want to see video of me messing around with her on my stove, don't you? Okay, let's see how her transformation actually works. So, I figured it wouldn't really be quite any kind of Transformers review if I didn't actually show the toy in action. So, this is, you probably recognize the Maisto Psycon. This time it's painted up in Rouge's colors. As you can see, her ears stick out to approximate rear view mirrors now, which was one thing that the original Maisto bike was missing. Unfortunately, I couldn't quite hide the face perfectly. If I could have put more moving parts around the back, then I probably would have been able to approximate a dash. Like maybe put an extra piece here to be handlebars that will cover her eyes. Actually, maybe I could do that, but it would probably get in the way of the wings. Anyway, this is only my first custom Transformer. Well, it's not my first custom Transformer, but it is really my first original idea for a custom Transformer that's really significant. So, let's transform this baby. First, you just pull the windshield off. It's held on with a peg and hole system, and that frees up the rest of the motorcycle for transformation. So, you know, this is still the Maisto Psychon, so its transformation is relatively basic, and that has never happened before. When I was customizing it, these pegs were so hard to move, and now that I want them to stay in place, they pop out on their own. That is so sucky. This is not a usual part. This actually never happened to me before. These pegs are usually very tight. Wait. Okay, hang on, I gotta fix this. Okay. So yes, that embarrassing peg incident aside, this is how the transformation goes. So yeah, just same as before, straighten out the legs, rotate the feet around, and you can see that she's still a very flexible girl. Okay. Then the hands come undone. This joint was really floppy before, so what I did was I took some of my white glue and just stuck it in there. Funny thing, white glue would tighten up the joints without sealing them. And it was so easy to do. I don't know why people are always talking about using floor polish, which is relatively more difficult to aim, or crazy glue, which has a slight possibility of destroying the joints altogether. Anyway, you rotate the head around like that. It likes to work its way off the ball joint, and I do that. I think something happened to it. Whatever. Okay, and then you take the windshield and you peg it into that hole, which is already on her chest, and that creates the Rouge transformer. The only problem is that although the head stows away fairly efficiently, I did not like the way that it looked proportionately. Her neck is too long and the head itself is kind of too small. So, I made this. You know, back in the G1, G2 old school Transformers days, they had these thing called headmasters. They're basically like a second head that would stick itself onto a bigger Transformer. So this, by the way, is a Heroics ball from Marvel. It's like a capsule that has a little tiny Marvel figure inside. And all you gotta do is fold the wings back slightly to keep them out of the way. Then this piece goes here. I cut slots to accommodate the neck hole and the ears. And you just put the ball back together over the head. Yeah. Since it's basically a gumball machine bubble, it slides neatly into place on itself. And I'm already in maximum zoom out. And yeah, now we have a Rouge former whose head is actually proportioned more like a Sonic character. Ta-da! Yeah, I'm really proud of the way this came out. I just love the way her wings look. She really does. I mean, the Maisto Psychon, once it transforms, it just very much already looks almost like an anthropomorphic bat. So you know, I just saw that thing, like, I have been jonesing to make a Sonic-themed crossover Transformer for the longest period of time, and when I saw this thing, like, haha, you know, with those wings, it looks like, oh, I just had to do it. Yeah, I mean, I even kind of reconfigured her wheel hand to make it look like her blaster. And of course the wings are still posable back there. And
thanks to the natural flexibility that the Psycon has, I mean, it's a pretty good, like I said in my MyStore review, it's a pretty good transformer, except that it lacks a waist joint. So yeah, it's a pretty nicely articulated figure too. I really do love how this Scarrow came out. So there is the Rouge transformer. This is Toy Customizer Wake Angel 2001. Hoping you liked her.